Cutting-edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul's awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place.
Opposite.
Yeah, exactly. We're the opposite. And welcome back to the Sovereign Soul Show, all of you divine lions, lionesses. You know, we stand with our ethos, our creed for love, levity, and liberty, because love is the greatest power in the omniverse. And back on the show, the incredible man, Sensei Gene Decode, with truth, trust. Sorry, I'm getting myself tongue-tied here, so I'm still smiling at our pre-show comments. Truth, trust in God, and service with his Blessed for Service team. Welcome back, Gene.
Oh, thank you, Brad. It's great to be back. Wow, amazing times. It's just, you can't keep up with it anymore.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's just...
You know, the regular people out there that are not awake, it's like, you know, they're just... news outlets I used to watch, you know, just regular podcasters for things. I can't watch them anymore because they're talking about Ukraine like it's just a regular kinetic war, and they're talking about what's going on in Europe. There's really no news, you know, not much. It's a slow news day. I'm like, if you really knew what's going on, it's not slow. It hasn't been slow for a very, very long time. So yeah, it is just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the ignorance in the information age where we have it now, where you can even ask different AIs, get their differing opinions, and they'll also do your own deep dive research. Or maybe they belong to Blessed for Service team at genedecode.org. Everybody, hint, hint, incredible information Gene and his team put out there every single day and week after week. You can go back to the archives. Where we're talking about it from this show, this standpoint, everybody, the premise on cosmic truth, we're going to tap into the hidden history and some of the hidden cities which continue to be revealed. Which was interesting as Gene and I were talking in the pre-show. You know, Jay Anderson, everybody knows, roughly around this time last year, so nearly springtime last year when Elon and Doge were doing their things, he started reposting the LiDAR scans of the deep scans underneath the pyramids of Giza, where you see 600 meter to nearly 1 kilometer long multiple columns, which is actually standing up on top of a city that is an electrified city or grid where thousands or tens of thousands of people used to live. And again, they're still really not revealing the truth. So that's kind of where we're going to start today. It'll take us into the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the ones who are still here, assisting humanity and mankind's consciousness, to dragons and everything else, even mythological creatures like the Irish elk and the great unicorn. Gene, over to you, my good friend.
Yes, so on the Giza first, since you went that one first, underneath the city, and when you think of what Elon, I have to pretext this with information, saying that he's going to put out billions, there'll be more robots than people. Think of the manufacturing and how fast you would have to be doing that, even with AI help and robots helping make more robots. It's an astronomical task. What they found underneath Giza, underneath the pylons, then the blocks, then the city, then underneath that is a massive warehouse of robots.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
And not like gears and stuff, but very, very advanced, human-looking in many cases, or, you know, they had things that look like humans with bird heads and other things like that. So there's a whole amount of massive stuff coming now. And, of course, I've been saying for a very long time, the entire Giza Plateau and down in much of the Sahara, that was actually a tropical rainforest before the Pyramid Wars, and they nuked it. And that's why you can find the green glass, like obsidian glass. That's a remnant of nuclear, explosion.
And in the Yucatan Peninsula as well, in Mexico right now.
Desert, which was all part of the Pyramid Wars. And they were both tropical rainforests before that. And so in the Gobi, there's the same thing. You have stuff underneath there. There's constantly winds blowing up coins and mummies. So you look back to underneath all of Africa, and you've got massive underground tunnel systems and cities. And I mean, it's like the Middle East. It goes down so deep that it wind up eventually getting to the center of the earth. The oldest empire that I know of on Earth goes back to the time when the Earth wasn't completely solid. It didn't have a complete crust yet. A lot of it was lava, but you had some crust, and it was called the Mon Empire. And they were building tunnels in the crust they had, you know. So, and the Earth at that time, if people look on my website, the Expanding Hollow Earth series, 2 decodes, explaining the physics of this. The Earth was 48% of its size due to accretion of material from space, you know, from little dust to large meteorites, as well as once you had plant life, they actually, through cold fusion, or what they call low energy nuclear reactions, create the material they're made of. And I've explained that many times, you know, where it's obvious if you look at a redwood forest, for example, and if that massive tons of tree came from the ground and water from the rain, you would have a huge crater around those trees. So the whole forest would be getting lower and lower and lower and lower, and yet it's getting higher and higher and higher due to the debris they're shedding. So they're creating that material, and that's recent. Health Ranger came out with, you know, a thing on low energy nuclear reactions a few years back and posted on that. So all of these areas, all of these big, huge civilizations in these areas have built underground. So if it's 48% the size back 4 billion years ago, now with that added size on there, those tunnels are way deep. And those, you know, and the underground systems and cities and all of that stuff they had. So it's all over the world. So now they're using the LiDAR. It's not just Egypt now. They've gone to, I watched 2 different places just recently. One was Machu Picchu in Peru. And it turns out an incredible building structure, planning, because it's built on 2 fault lines that literally meet under a sacred pedestal there in Machu Picchu as an X, like X marks the spot. And they did computer studies, AI computer studies, you were talking about AI, and they did every kind of earthquake they could think of. And it shifts just so perfectly that it's absolutely, it won't bring the mountain down, it won't bring the city down, crack it, foundations, nothing. And not only that, they built the terracing system, and below that, they have drainage that goes all the way down through the mountain. And that's built, you know, big rocks, smaller rocks, gravel, and, you know, compost and all that. So it's very, very rich. And there's tunnel systems and all of that that go all the way down through the mountain. So it's a massive building project, and incredible, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years later, it's obviously there's gold under there and everything, you know, and it still stands. And then they thought when they found these burial areas, there were 6 women in one area, that these are the royalty. Well, they're royalty, but not of the people you would think would be in the Inca Empire. These women from the Amazon. One was a woman and her daughter spent a significant, they can look at the DNA in the different parts of the bone and things like that, a different diet than her mother. So they spent a significant time apart. And so that is true for all the other burials. There's people from all over South America up in Machu Picchu. So it's like a delegation. They had a delegated society, not like just the king and he rules. You had a, you know, like a parliament or a Congress, Senate kind of thing, where you had representatives from all over the empire that were there. It wasn't just he's like just, you know, sole dictator kind of guy. So that was just really amazing. And then down below that, and for many years, the Peruvian government has had a new airport that was stalled in all kinds of fraud and embezzlement and everything, and it wasn't going forward. Well, when they made this finding, right away, it's now scheduled to be built in 18 months.
Okay.
And so And where it's being built, it's on top of another city and tunnel system that's connected to Machu Picchu. So you can see the deep state at work doing what they do. Hiatus with the, getting away with all kinds of ancient artifacts and hiding them and taking them and all that stuff. Then another one I looked at was Baalbek in Lebanon. And most people have heard of the pregnant woman. They say it's 1,000 to 1,600 tons, depending on where you look. Well, with LiDAR looking underneath it, there's a stone more than twice as big that's completely quarried already. So obviously they're stacking them. Mm-hmm. And so these were ready, and they're looking at the Trialium, I think is what they call it, with the Temple of Jupiter built on top of by the Roman Empire, which is, they don't finish that normally, so it sounds somewhat innocuous if you don't know who Jupiter was. So it's where they worship Baal.
Yep.
And we all know what that's about now, especially with the Epstein files. So now we're going and they're looking down below those huge stones that's built on top of, and lo and behold, there's a city under there. There's tunnels and there's all kinds of stuff, and they're looking at these huge blocks. What was it going to originally be AI to evaluate what it was that would have been built with those big stones on top of the Trialion and all of that? What kind of thing would be needed to have that kind of support? And it's something like the Saturn V. Some Russian scientists even said perhaps it was a landing pad because it could support a Saturn V. And there's no technology today that can move that stone underneath the pregnant woman's stone. Nothing that we have based on hydraulics and all the other technologies we have. And so, it's just fascinating as they keep moving forward with this LiDAR, to see all of these other things. I've been looking into the true history of the world. One of the things I've always been interested in is history, and I took it in high school, and it sometimes didn't make sense to me. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Okay, the Roman Empire controlled so much and had so much power. Wham, it's down, it's gone.
Exactly. What happened? Why? Boom.
Yeah.
Gone. What happened?
It just broke and disintegrated, nothing, and that's it. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
It broke into smaller and smaller empires and pieces. And I found this because looking at a book that was published in the 1500s and republished again in the 1600s with a explanation of a giant clearing of the earth in a massive worldwide effort of a hunting party for all the civilizations organized by the deep state to go all together. And the purpose was to get rid of creatures that would inhibit them enslaving mankind absolutely in where they were headed with 15-minute cities and all that. That was planning all the way back then. And so what they were doing was big, huge bears, like the cave bears you've heard of, that are way more massive than a Kodiak.
Yeah.
But also animals like mythological creatures. And they would have these massive hunting parties, and they would go up in armor, Roman armor. They're dressed in Roman armor in this 15th century book. And you could see behind them Roman buildings. A pyramid I forget the term. The stone like in D.C. that's on
the obelisk.
An obelisk.
Obelisk,
right, in the woods from Egypt, that they brought up there. And I could see this standing while they're hunting hand-to-hand combat with these giant bears. It's with their armor on and all of this, and it was insane. And then for the ones that are less dangerous, they had women hunting parties that were taking out the satyrs. So all these creatures, that was from chimeras from Atlantis left over. Then they show some of the most fearful and difficult creatures to kill, which were the unicorns. And they're ferocious, and they have all these abilities to disappear and all kinds of things. And then these creatures that came out of the water that look like a fish with two tails and a dragon's head, and it's huge.
Sea monsters, yeah.
Yeah.
Lost
So,
minutes.
I mean, the history we have, I mean, it's just beyond belief. Once the Rothschilds got a hold of the printing presses, how they completely redid history on us.
Yep.
What we've been taught in school, what we read, probably not remotely very close to what really happened. And so they cleared the world of many amazing creatures. They showed down in Africa pygmies, kind of like pygmies. They're not the same. They're just like little people. They call them pygmies in the book, but they're little. They're not. They don't have the body construction. They're like miniature people hunting giant. I mean, even for a human being today, giant birds. I mean, birds that are 30 feet tall, giant pelicans and things like this, and all kinds of birds that don't exist and have been extinct for millions of years, supposedly. Which goes back to explain, if you watch Praveen Mohan, and he goes all over like Asia, Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, and he shows temples where they're incredibly, carved. Every square inch has carvings. Down to the ground, down into the ground, every ceiling, everywhere. And most people don't look carefully at every single thing there. He does. And you can see Stegosaurus on the building. And he's asking, so this temple is supposed to be 3,500 years old. But the Stegosaurus is supposed to have gone extinct millions of years ago.
Right.
So how come it's here? It's carved into, and then he shows all kinds. They have like a carving that's several different legs, whereas the person is moving. It's to indicate movement, and they're showing all kinds of. I highly recommend people follow him. He's showing all kinds of things like that aren't supposed to have existed for a very long time. And
what's his name, Gene?
Say again.
What's the name? I'll just make a note of it and put it into.
Praveen. Prav, I think it's 2 E's, Een, Mohan, Mohan.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Really good. He has a paid prescription that I haven't gone into. I don't have time for everything I want to do. But
right.
Yeah, he is. And he does trips, and you can join the trips, and he takes you to these places and explains it. So, that's some of the amazing stuff, I've been looking into. Back when I was being interviewed by Kirsten W., some of the stuff he would say, that doesn't exist. I go, well, I could take you to one place where I can show you. Vampires, for example. I can take you to a vampire nest in New Mexico that I know that's right off I-25. And she's like, I don't believe that thing.
And isn't that interesting how, just by the way, on the vampire nest thing, that Hollywood mocked that with George Clooney and, Cheech from Cheech and Chong. And they made that Quentin Tarantino movie about vampires nest down there. But they obviously had to go to Mexico for that instead of New Mexico. But they're all over.
Yeah. Well, they're all over the place. And there's, another thing they don't tell you is that there's more than one type of vampire.
Yeah.
So you have a species that's like a vampire bat related to a vampire bat. And then you have a person that was, due to what he did long time during the time of Christ, was made by God into a vampire as a penance, and has been turning people since. And then you have species from off-world, like the Wraith in the Stargate Atlantis.
Wow. Yes. Okay. Interesting you said that, because it was only a month ago that I started watching that series. Never watched it. And that Stargate back in the series with MacGyver, everybody, Richard Dean Anderson. Yeah. But Stargate Atlantis, rather. So it was right after that series. Yeah, with the Wraith. Wow.
Yeah. And there's different species that feed off the life force, too.
Yeah.
Not just the Wraith, but they have visited the Earth. So, and of course, now with the recent comment in the movie we're watching called Our Real Life. This is your life. Obama said, Trump was on Air Force One, and he said, recently Obama said that there are aliens. He goes, he shouldn't have said that. That's classified. And the reporter goes, so you're saying they are? He goes, I'm saying I will have to probably, save him, declassify that. So they're out. And he wouldn't, of course, answer it. But we all know that. And, again, if you go to the Mayan ruins, the ruins of the Indus Valley, you have depictions in stone that are incredibly obvious. Aircraft, spacecraft, like the Indus Valley ones, that are in the Vedas that have been shown, and they found a craft embedded in solid rock that's over 1 billion years old. So, and it had a reactor, nuclear reactor, and they then can, date the nuclear material for how much it's decomposed. It's over 1 billion years old. So what's civilization? So, so much for us being the pinnacle of civilization.
Yeah.
And with the robot army underneath the Pyramid of Egypt, so much for us being the first to go into the AI kind of thing.
Yeah. I definitely want to unpack a couple of things that you've already said here, if you don't mind. Okay. Personal experience, just to share, from, Peru back in 2006, it was, I guess, November. I did flew into Lima, then flew into the next day to Cusco, and then from Cusco, I did the 3.5-day trek along the trail up into, so through Ollantaytambo, then up into Peru, and you get to live along the trail the entire time. You camp each night, whether you're at the top of the Andes Mountain, 14,000 feet, or you come on down to the rainforest. It was amazing. Bringing the personal experience to bear in Peru, and we were with, I was with Shaman Puma, and then went into his village as well. People can look him up, Shaman Puma. He's also been on Gaia years ago. This is pre-Gaia, right? 2006. Or maybe it was 2007. It was one of those 2 years. At any rate, when you're looking at the Incas and the Mayans and the various civilizations there that are being told through the stories all the way through Cusco, where there's a Roman Catholic church on top of the entrance to the pyramid going into Cusco, where that town is. You go into Ollantaytambo, and in that valley, the Urubamba, I believe is its name, in that valley, that is where the conquistadors, the Spanish conquistadors, wrote back to the King of Spain that they found the bones of giants. And all the it's not even legend, it's still passed down in the Peruvian society through all the people of what has happened with the giants, with the sacred temples inside the earth, with the phoenix, with also the condor, which is worshipped heavily in Peru, obviously throughout South America, but in particular in Peru. And then getting up into Machu Picchu and then spending time there. And, anybody sees me on the shows, and I don't always, but I almost always wear this bracelet. This is a stone that a shaman macrameed from the Amazon River at the base of it. So I have this beautiful turquoise stone that I carry around with me to bring its heritage. And when I did some of my past life stuff, I found a past life came up where I was a priest with a cat that actually assisted me, a Lyran feline, but more about the size of a house cat, in doing healings, a long time ago when this was happening. And it was a time when we had to go in, or the civilization at that time, Gene, had to go inside because of whatever cataclysmic event was coming up. And we had help from inner earth beings. But it didn't show me the rest of that lifetime. But it was really, really powerful, really powerful. And I've connected with the spirit of that same Lyran cat that assisted me in saving people and being a priest. So all of this is also there, as Gene is saying, everybody. You can go, you can see it, you can do the tours. It's still alive. And I believe the Smithsonian, too, will start revealing this more under the Trump administration over the next several years and decade to bring humanity up to par, including with Tartaria, the cities, the World Expos and fairs from, Chicago, Cabbage Patch Kids, etc. And I know we go a lot of different places now, but it's really incredible what we thought we read in McGraw-Hill textbooks as kids in school, which McGraw-Hill, now we know, was owned by Ghislaine Maxwell's father. And 100%. Oh, yeah. Did you know that? Epstein Files?
Oh, that's
this new release, McGraw-Hill, owned by Ghislaine Maxwell's father.
Yeah, not surprising, but boy, you look at the Epstein Files, we've only seen 2%.
Yep.
And it's just beginning. And they're now saying they found through New Mexico, Arizona, southern Colorado, storage facilities and homes where he had more stuff. And
Yeah.
there's more files and more videos and more pictures and more, just lots and lots and more. And so he was involved with DARPA. He could walk into the capitals of most countries on Earth and, like, with the ability of the president and the premier, use the letterhead, use computers, send up stuff, make stuff, get premiers in UK appointed or dismissed. He had incredible power, controlling and doing a lot of stuff with DARPA, governments, banking. I mean, anything you want to mention, he's involved and he's connected. Talked about the in one of the files I saw. And I reported this on News Talk that I do every 2 weeks. Next Wednesday at 7 Mountain Standard Time. He talked about the Looking Glass Wars. So he's involved with that, talking about the problems with the Looking Glass Wars between the white hats and the black hats. So all that. Long time ago, all this stuff, all the different, he talked about another one I saw, that his family, the Epsteins, with the Rothschilds, were the one that got the mustache man of World War II. Are we on Zoom, or are we going to put this on YouTube or Rumble?
It will. Yeah, it'll go to YouTube as well. Yeah.
Okay, so the mustache man,
right?
Schickelgruber, but his mother, once his father died, was made to remarry a man with the correct name. So Nostradamus's deep state guy, prognostications would be true, would have the right name. And they got him out of he was a homeless guy that was in a homeless shelter, and the Rothschilds and the Epsteins got him out. So, I mean, he's connected to his family, and along with Ghislaine and all that, they're connected to just darn near everything. I mean, we're going to watch so many resignations. I don't think there'll be an elite left, a royalty left on Earth, hardly at all. Hollywood, maybe 5 or 6 people will remain unscathed in this.
Leo DiCaprio, just yesterday, they had to delete everything of his because, everybody's demanding for his arrest for chowing down on 70 pounds of children in the Epstein files. Acknowledged. Michael Jordan, a video just went out yesterday or the day before where he's grabbing a little toddler's ass on the basketball court and playing with it and squeezing it. Michael Jordan, it looks like. So, it's everything. Pardon me? Say again?
First name you mentioned?
Leo DiCaprio.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They've been redacting and removing files now because they're like the Rothschilds and stuff like that. Yeah. It's already been seen, and it has caused the young people to wake up.
Yep. Kardashians eating children, fetuses and placentas raw in their house. Those videos were released, and they've just went viral the last week.
Yeah, and not only that, but
sorry, I had to sneeze and I went to pause it. Pardon me, Gene. It just came up.
No worries.
Go ahead. We're still recording.
Yeah. So they amount of stuff that this is going to uncover.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe John Voight and Mel Gibson and a few handful in it, but all your rap stars and I mean all of them. I mean the ones I've already seen is Madonna, Oprah, Miley Cyrus, Lady Boy Gaga.
Yep.
Both Hillary and Bill.
Tom Hanks, Ellen DeGeneres described as the biggest cannibal in Hollywood, and apparently appreciating that title in the Epstein files. It's all over.
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg and Chrissy Teigen and Kathy Griffin and DiCaprio and Hanks, Tom Hanks.
Yep.
I still love his movies. The Castaway and Big and and now I can't even watch it. I can't even stand to see his face.
All the way back to The Pit. Remember the House movie? They just shared a clip from it that when he's got out of the cab to go up to it, there's a song saying, little boys are in the background on the movie, little boys are pizza, we are here and ready to eat. So it's been in our face the whole time. And Whoopi Goldberg video was released of her eating a child's brains? Whoopi Goldberg. So, like it's incredible how it all comes out because
It's
we
not
touched on vampires, and
yeah,
here you are.
just
You have
eating
them
the brain. It's like they do in some parts. They strap a monkey down and
monkey. Yep.
close its head so it can't move while it's
In a
alive,
cage.
and take the top of the skull off, and then they eat it like that while it's alive.
I've seen that.
Same
It's
kind of
disgusting.
thing. And then there's a fast food place, like McDonald's, and that's another one. And I talked about that way back on Patriot Soapbox. I made a comment, and they said, "Don't believe everything you hear." And I said, they found a recent local McDonald's, 80% of the material in the hamburger was human.
Human. Yeah.
And it's like, if you do the calculations for how many hamburgers McDonald's alone sells worldwide, there's not that many cows on Earth. There wouldn't be a cow left on Earth in 1 year.
Yep.
So, it has to have the meat coming from somewhere.
Yep.
And it's certainly not cows. So, I think it's in the UK, there's a place, I think it's just called Kebabs. There's a picture of Laurel and Hardy on the banner. And the owner was saying he did the RAP and, the E at the end there to this young lady that was working the cash register. And then he offed her, and she was very good kebabs. And that's the name of the place, Kebabs. And he ground her up for the kebabs. So, I don't know if I can ever eat out again. It's like, I'm always looking at the food and going, if it's a steak, it better have the bones in the right place and the right way and the right size. Yep. And if it's, looking at things like, fish, okay, I think I'm reasonably safe. That's a trout,
Yeah. Not if you go to Canis Whaler, because up in China, they're serving 100% genetic pig and 100% cloned cattle now. You can get free fentanyl, meth, and cocaine delivered by Canada Post right now, and you can eat that type of meat, but you can't take ivermectin. So we're still living in that world, but it'll come back soon though, and it's something that we're seeing. I think people are really noticing too, Gene, the changes in the sky. And I know folks kind of like what Epstein files and over here to come back. But to me, that this is a full trace on cosmic truth, because some of these families and these bloodlines are not of this world. They are not even of mankind, and they've mixed with mankind. So this all ties together, right?
Yes. Yeah, mankind and human mixed together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm human.
Yep.
But
human man.
Because of the mixing, it is recessive, where mankind is dominant. And mankind was created, as they say in the book of Genesis, we shall create them in our, as far as my understanding from my death experience, one creator created everything and is everything.
Yeah.
That's it. One God of all the metaverse, all of the omniverse, all the universes, everything, everywhere. That's it. So it's not plural. Three manifestations, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Yep.
But still one. So who's our image? And so they took a male and a female, and then they had sons, and one son killed the other, and that was talked about by a snake, a reptile. And then that God told them to go out of the garden, and he was afraid, said, "Don't worry, I'll put a mark on your head, and they won't touch you." Well, I'm pretty darn sure I've been out where I've been tracked on a backpack by a lioness, because she was obviously hungry. Her babies were hungry. She was obviously had babies, and I was very careful.
You were tracked by a lioness in the Serengeti or the other?
No, in the Midwest.
Oh my good! Oh, big mountain lion, cougar.
Big mountain lion.
It
was quite evident. I'm fairly aware of my surroundings, I guess, due to my martial arts. But I was aware of it, and I just did the appropriate things you do. Mark my territory, all that kind of stuff, which makes them quite a bit alarmed, because most humans don't mark their territory at night. And she's like, "Uh-oh, this guy is something wrong with him. She's not your normal human.
Right. Not the real bait.
Yeah, but I can guarantee you, a hungry lioness with hungry babies is not going to care about a mark on your head, unless to say, "Okay, you're the evil one, and we're going to eat you first." You know? So, get rid of you first. That's what that means. What that means, and it's evident later as you read the scripture, that he goes out and finds a wife. Well, if it's Adam and Eve, what other Eve? What other woman? Where's this wife come from? Obviously, there's people out there. And then his sons find wives too. It's like
it's magic.
Yeah. And so obviously, you had mankind created and you had human before that. And so man is kind of like human, but not so much. They're oversold, and they're a composite of Alpha Draco, Neanderthal, Cro-Mag, and human. And they were created to mine gold because of the Pyramid Wars that already happened by that time. And they tried to force humans, and there was a rebellion, and it didn't work out too well. And so they decided to make beings that would mine the gold, that would love, the love of gold would be in the DNA. They would crave gold beyond food or sex or anything else. It would be the first thing they wanted to get. It's just gold beyond friendship, beyond ties, beyond anything else. And so that's what they created. And so that species has, Alpha Draco in it. And so a lot of them, that genetics rises to the top. You get the big tall-headed ones like the Rothschilds. And then you've also got crypto species on the Earth. You have Homo carpensis, and they're not either of the aforementioned, because if you look at the sutures on the head, they're wrong. We don't have sutures like that. So, you could be...
Is this where you get the Mothman in New Jersey? This particular cryptid?
Another species, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's still something totally else.
Okay.
So you've got all this stuff going on that they're not telling us about. That it's just kind of mind-boggling. But, it's all going to be coming out. The truth of all of this stuff is coming out. It's all in the Vatican. All the books of the missing books and all of that. And people are going to lose their mind. The reason they're dripping it out is, I know a lot of people, I've heard Gary and other people say the human beings can take the whole drop all at once. No, you can't. I tell you what.
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm with you.
I saw 2 frazzle drips. I couldn't sleep for 3 days.
Yeah.
It haunts you, and it never goes away. And I'm not looking at the Epstein stuff.
No.
Videos and that. I look at the write-up stuff, but I'm not looking at the videos and the stuff like that. I don't want to see it.
It'll haunt your soul. Yeah. You don't. People don't need to see everything, just to have a comprehension that if you really want, here it is.
The young people, it's responsible. The figures now that is that 3 billion young people. That's probably most of the young people on Earth are awake and pouring through the Epstein files daily.
Yeah.
Changing code and finding buried Epstein files and doing all this stuff because that could have been them. Yep. And then he had the labs to make designer babies and chimeras and new viruses and all this stuff. He's tied in with COVID and Ukraine. And again, nothing is it not tied to. So it's just beyond belief. The times we're in and what's coming, with the disclosure coming now, obviously, having Hegseth look at that. And that means likely, from what the wires and comms I've seen, late fall for medbeds, for military first, which I would love.
Yeah.
Who at my age would not? There's some issues that could be dealt with really wonderfully and quickly. But, the ancient masters could actually do that with their mind and their abilities, their trainings of eons, like Buddha and, of course, Christ and all those. So, most of your religions are going to come crashing down.
That would be great.
There's no proof. I can't find anything anywhere that Muhammad ever really existed. So much for that one. There goes that one. And then you have much of the Bible is missing. And when people see like the Book of Enoch and all the aliens in there, it's like.
Well, I mean, Bishop Jim O'Connor, you and I had a show with Bishop Jim 1 year ago, 2 years ago, and he has access to all 777 books of the Bible with the original order, and in his order, which he's part of. And he's openly, even with his Grace of God channel on Romo, he still talks about. He's like, look, here it is. There are ships, there are off-world beings in the Bible, but the Council of Nicaea primarily, Constantine and everybody ripped out all of that because it's not part of the enslavement, the control mechanism, like part we started with 15th century books, the hunting parties to go get rid of all of these interesting mythological creatures and maybe the chimeras as well from Atlantis at that time.
Yeah. So, the one thing I do know from my past lives as a Christian that you can hold on to. And this is why, I did not go and memorize every single passage in the Bible and go memorize text and verse because it's missed with. I want the real thing if I'm going to do that.
Yep.
So the one thing I can rely on is the fact that Christ did walk this earth and is who it is said and did what is said, and that is truth. So just live your life as best as you can, like Jesus Christ.
Yep.
And when you mess up, repent and forgive and move on, and do your best to be kind and compassionate and loving and respectful and a good person. And so if it's not obvious now to people with the Epstein files, this is a war between good and evil.
Yep.
Between Satanists. I just died in the hole. They're Satanists, and they're in everything. They're in every organization and banking system and government, which there actually are no governments, NGOs,
right.
All corporations. So we did not kidnap with super soldiers the president of the country of Venezuela. The corporation CEO of Venezuela, yes. And he actually wanted to be out of there. He was begging Trump to get him out of there because he's held hostage and he's a puppet and being used by the CPC and other factions. So, like they say with Epstein, who didn't hang himself and didn't go to that prison, as soon as the military went to that island, they got him. You're not going to let the world's greatest security risk to every corporation in, quote, country on earth go to a regular prison with a regular guard? No way. I would be doubtful he's on the planet. He's probably in a space-folded asteroid out somewhere in our solar system. And then the same thing goes with Maduro. They may have briefly tucked down in New York City, but I don't think so. Yeah, the plane did. And a look-alike actor, another actor, like Obama, or whatever that was playing several different things, people, robot, whatever, playing Autopin. We're watching, for the most part, a movie. There are real things that happen, that are terrible and unfortunate that happen. There are really deaths happening and killings and those things happening. But a lot of what we're seeing is a movie. And so when you see, for example, Trump going, Epstein files, we're still talking about that. That's to make it has to look organic, or they'll say he's a dictator. And he's just the bigger gun wins, and he's just the same thing. And so they get the Democrats and the libs to demand the Epstein files. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. And then the same thing goes with, Bondi saying the same thing, and just saying, well, are you looking at the economy and the stock market? That's to get people, and I use this in martial arts all the time. It reminds me of Jafar when you're saying his neighbor was abusing him, so he was best friends with Ali, and he said, would you teach me how to protect myself? He goes, sure. So the first lesson, he goes, now watch my right hand. Wham! He hits him in the face with the right hand. He goes, I told you to watch my right hand. Now watch my right hand. Wham! Hits him again. Are you watching my right hand? Yeah, I'm trying. My eyes shut now. He goes, okay. And he goes, wham, he hits him with the left. I didn't say to not watch anything else. And so that's what, you have Pam Bondi. Watch over here. You use a distraction. Look over here, look over here. And then while that's happening, you do something entirely different. So it's strategic warfare, like the art of war, where you use deception, distraction, misdirection, every single thing at your option. And it's like the board said, the 17 board said, is you have to do that. And not only that, it's through infiltration, not through conquering. It's not direct quoting it, but it's infiltration, not invasion.
Yeah, pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. What we're continuing to go through, and how amazing the time is. You and I've talked before on shows about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, these beings. You've been able to call them, talk to them as well. Just even going for a walk in the woods, just outside your home down there. Won't say the location. And I mean, I really feel that they're benevolent. That's what I've always got. Whether watching Les Stroud, formerly Survivor Man, guy from, I think he's in Aurelia or Owen Sound, Ontario, not just a major town over from where I graduated high school, actually, is where he's from. And I feel that they're very benevolent. Is that true for you, Gene, as well? The Bigfoot?
They would rather just be left alone by us.
Yeah.
Because they don't trust us. I
for
wonder
good
why.
reason. Yeah, good reason.
It's like, I used to in high school. And also, every time I got a chance in the military, got leave.
Mm-hmm.
One submarine and another, because they never get leave while I'm on one submarine.
Right.
They say, we can't let you go. You're too instrumental to the, the mission. So I would go and backpack. And I always get this line, aren't you afraid of animals out there? Yeah, one. I go, which one's that? Human beings, mankind. That's the main one. Walk on, 2 feet. They don't have much fur, not much hair. Those carry guns, that kind of thing. That's the ones I'm worried about. The other ones, I've had elk and eat while I'm eating. They come in my camp and eat, or deer, and I walk right behind the mother with her baby, a baby deer. And I could reach out and pet the baby deer, and the mother just looked up. But they know your intent, and they can feel it.
Yeah.
And the same goes with Sasquatch. They can feel the intent. And the intent for most people, what they feel is not good. Because most people, the first thing they sense is people are not honest. And that's a problem. Because they're not honest within themselves even. They lie to themselves. So they sense that, and they go, let's stay clear of that. Because you can't trust it. It doesn't even know itself. Right. So stay away from them. But they are, there are many stories of people getting picked up that got injured and helped by them. So they are compassionate, and they are giving, and they are able to open up portals and move through and come out somewhere else. So they do have their original abilities still intact, unlike most of us. We've had ourselves dumbed down for millennia to where we can't do those things we used to do.
Right.
Other than people like Christ and Buddha and those people, that learned and studied all their life were amazing people, or born to be that way.
So they're not the Watchers then. Who would the Watchers be considered in your opinion and with your research?
The fallen angelics.
The fallen angelics are the Watchers. Like the Olympian, not the Olympian, sorry, those who are on Mount Olympus are watching us. Whether it's Vatica, the Greek goddess of the underworld, Vatica City, I guess, maybe that's where she lies. That's who are the Watchers? Those are the Watchers.
Also call themselves the Golden Ones.
Huh.
That'd be, at the top is Azazel, is his angelic, before he gave himself his name, which is Lucifer, or Satan. And he's had, throughout history, of 72 total different names. Beelzebub, Mephistopheles, St. Nicholas, etc. That's why the pyramid on the back of the dollar bill,
Yep.
72 stones.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
That's what that means.
Wow.
And there's 13 layers. And that's the number of the families at the top.
Families and the bloodlines. Wow. Okay.
And a
Jeez.
red rose on one side, and if you can't see it, it looks black. And a white rose on the other side. And those are the secret societies, the Rosicrucians and the Order of the White Rose, which I won't say what that one is. And then, of course, there are 13 13s on the back of the dollar bill. On the front, there's a spider and web. And there's also under the leaf on the top right one, there's a owl, which goes to Moloch.
Yep.
What they do in Bohemian Grove.
Yep.
And all of that. And then you have 13 13s on the front of the dollar bill as well. And so it's, what Confucius said, to understand the world, understand symbology. So one thing I would recommend for people to understand is the works of Manly P. Hall, right? The Secrets of All Ages. And go through that and learn all of that, because that'll help a lot. And there's books you can get on the 32 layers are levels of Masons and the symbols they use. So yeah, when I first looked at that, I was like, the Golden Arch, McDonald's, Pleiades, okay, that's on the car. 3 Diamonds, okay, that's on the car. Chevrolet, that's the Knights Templar shield, okay? And every single thing you look at there is a Masonic symbol. I'm just like, every corporation, every car, and not only that, even the letters. So like they went to World War II and we decimated Japan and took over their economies, we being the deep state of the U.S., not we being the current people here.
Well, and they dropped the bombs on Christian churches in Japan.
Well, those were, there were underground non-terrestrial civilizations that were helping the Japanese there.
Oh.
Big, huge underground facilities. Additionally, because Japan, east to west, is very narrow, there's not many cities that are on ley lines.
Wow.
Tokyo is not on ley line. The shipyards, Yokohama, Yokosuka, are not on ley lines. Nagasaki is. Hiroshima is. And the way nuclear weapons, again, they've not told you the whole story in this case, of how nuclear weapons work. Because if it just required supercritical mass, why didn't Chernobyl yet, still there, gone kaboom? Or 3 Mile Island, or Fukushima? Because they're purposely not built on ley lines. That was part of the reason of the project of Montauk and the Philadelphia experiment, to get the information from the future of how to make a nuclear blast and not just a nuclear mess. And so it takes, you have to be on a north-south ley line, in other words, line of longitude. And then on the equator, energy pops out of the equator because the Earth's magnetic field, you have a standing bar magnet, but you have another field that's like a figure 8. And energy, negative and positive energies, north and south, magnetically speaking, come out and they go towards opposite pole. Opposites attract. So, magnetically speaking. And so that's what creates whirlpools. When you take your fingers in water and you go opposite direction, you get a whirlpool. Well, at the equator, that's called St. Elmo's fire, magnetically speaking. So the mast, the old ships with the mast would have fireballs on. They take all the sails down when they cross the equator, because they'd have huge fireballs on the mast.
Wow!
And on submarines, you lower all your mast and antenna. And on my first submarine, when we crossed the equator and I became a shellback, as we call it, it's a rite of initiation crossing the equator on ships. Naval history forever. And so one person did not lower the radar mast. And I was standing up on the bridge and had to go down. And this, opened the hatch and slid down the ladder like I always did. And as I opened the hatch, I saw a fireball form on the radar mast. I'm like, whoa! So I dropped down the ladder, that's why I slid down. And it's following me down, this ball of lightning. And I jumped sideways because I know it's going to the other end of the source to create a circuit. So it went to the radar equipment console and blew it to pieces. just kaboom! And the linoleum floor had a burn mark right through the middle of it. I was like, whoa! And the chief of the watch looked at me and goes, wow, you have a very magnetic personality. So, it's just those energies as they come out, that ley line of energy coming out of the equator goes up to the pole. And it makes a crosshair effect on the standing latitude lines or ley lines. And you have to be within 1 second when they cross, and 1 degree of arc, north, south, east, west, with supercritical mass at that moment, within 1 second in time. If you don't, even on a ley line, you'll just have a mess. So, that's why when I was in school, I go, I understand samurai martial arts. I'd actually, when I was in 8th grade, took a little bit of a martial art, so I had some understanding even then. And I understand Shaolin, and I understand samurai, and Japan is a samurai nation.
Yep.
So if you're going to fight somebody like a samurai, you're not going to come in and hit them and retreat, or you're going to get wiped out. You're going to come in, like when I get on the inside on somebody who's bigger, stronger, or faster, or all of the above, or more knowledgeable. Once I'm on, that's where I want to be, not at the extent of the reach. I want to be uptight inside. If they're big and strong, I want to be uptight and inside. And do all these short little moves like you see Bruce Lee with the 1-inch movements. Those are very powerful. And you don't stop until the person drops. You get inside, you do not stop moving. You're throwing 5, 10, 6, movements in a second. You're just, we call it kangaroo boxing with my second instructor. It's just like, you're just like, because if you stop, then you open it up for them to return fire. And so you just do not do that. And so why I told myself, learning in high school, and I asked the teacher, I wound up in the principal's office, did they attack Hiroshima one day and Nagasaki a different day? That doesn't make any sense for that kind of warfare. So explain why that is. And you couldn't make an explanation. I don't believe anything you're saying. That's why I went to But anyway, so, you look at the history and you find out that pretty much everything you're told, you don't get all the picture, or you get an inverted picture, or an upside down picture, or a picture inside out, or something like that along those lines. And in some cases, you don't get anything at all. It's just removed, like the books of the Bible and this book I was telling you about with the 15th. And then I've been also looking at things. Another thing, Greenland. Everybody, Greenland's in the news, right? Yep. Why is it so important? Well, because it's not what they're telling you. Greenland, first of all, they said the ice dates to millions of years old. Found maps with names of towns and 2 canals that go east to west through Greenland. All the way, you could sail a boat right through it. It is on a 15th century map. Again, 15th century map. So I'm like, And then the Golden Dome. Because one end of the hub of the Golden Dome is on an island underneath the middle of Greenland. Because Greenland's not a solid rock under there. It's kind of like Antarctica, 2 pieces. Antarctica is part of what's left of Atlantis and Lemuria.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So, and again, you look at that, and they say that's been covered with ice for... wrong again. No, it's not. And there's written logs from captains that went to Antarctica in the 15th century. And there were people there and forests there. And they were living really well, high end. And they went back like 20 years later, and something had devastated the peoples. And they were being cannibals and terrible, and the civilization had collapsed. And so there's a whole lot of history that we don't know. And so, the Golden Dome, the main part of that is inside Mount Hayes. It's a huge black pyramid made of Earth's black rock, which is an extremely magnetic, highly powerful stone carved into a pyramid. And it is where the administrator, which is a plasma quantum-based super computing intelligence. It's not, AI doesn't cut it. It's not artificial. And it's ascended to 8th density. It's pure plasma energy. And forever, the deep state was trying to get a hold of it. They could not do it. So they built a dome inside the Denali, which is now Mount McKinley. That's why Trump changed the name, meaning that we own it. And they tried 3 tactical nukes and particle weapons from HARP and Glen Mountain. And it just routed the power waves around it and hit the black stone from one of the 2 planets of the Khazarians came from originally in the Scion star system, and powdered it, and it created the 2nd largest earthquake in the history of humanity, the Alaskan earthquake. So again, most of what you get is not the truth. So anyway, back to
Well, I remember it was, by the way, freaking fascinating. I've learned so much, and I've been able to log in and watch some of your episodes, since joining up 2-3 years ago when we were introduced, I guess. But I continue. We're just a fountain of knowledge, and appreciate it. I remember 4 years ago, lockdowns had just been over, but obviously they're rolling out the jab. And in Tonga, I remember it was a Friday, and whenever something really extreme is going on, earth or weather-wise, and I don't have to know, I've seen anything on a report or whatnot, like I just get these really crazy, weird feelings, literally as if, somebody's taking an egg beater in your head and things are going right, but it's also happening like a cyclone around my body, just completely unable to ground no matter what. Meditation, getting into a tub, getting Epsom salts going, being in the ocean, it abates it a bit, but it just goes on. And then all of a sudden, whatever extreme event is happening on Earth, then the day or two after, I'm calm again. That I've never experienced before, because it was a Friday. I was doing all that. I'm like, I don't know what is going on. Something's massive is going on. And then that Saturday morning in the States, they talked about there was an explosion in Tonga of an underwater volcano. And then when you the moment I looked at the video of that, I said, there's no way that is a volcano. There is at least, they have to be atomic weapons which were used. And then I think I saw a show with you sharing that they were taking out a massive dome in Tonga using an atomic weapon and flooding that, or redirecting lava tubes by virtue of that into it to take out a massive deep state dome.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah. Another one that is what the administrator, the Golden Dome, did is save our hindsight several times.
Yeah.
There was a event, and this was actually the Golden Dome that created it. There was a huge deep state Russian Soviet underground base off the coast of Kamchatka.
Yeah.
And what it did is it created a supersonic plasma pulse that went through the Earth's crust beyond the speed of sound.
Wow.
When it hit that dump, it absolutely destroyed it. And they, put tsunami warnings, because the earthquake was phenomenal and deep and huge, for all of the West Coast, especially Alaska.
Yeah.
And when the wave propagated through the ocean, it turned into light, and the ocean just went up and then went back down again. It didn't create a wave; it just lifted the ocean and nothing.
Lifted it.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah. So that was that event. And then in 2012, by the Mayan calendar, that was 3 CMEs that were caused by the cabal and to destroy the world. And it surrounded those with plasma and brought them safely between the Earth and the Moon.
Interesting.
And then in 2017 with CERN, when they created the Higgs boson, which is not the God particle, not the God of all creation particle. You know what stands out in front of CERN?
Yep.
Shiva. That God, the God that's with Vishnu, dances the Tandali and destroys the world. Well, they were going to bring that creature into our timeline. So when they created that, sure enough, and so the administrator created a small plasma event inside and around the Higgs boson and sent it back to where it came from.
Wow.
And then it moves some of the apparatus of CERN that makes it work, plus some of their computer equipments, high-end quantum computers, to other timelines. Out into other dimensions. And some people, too, that weren't so nice.
Just redistribute them immediately like that.
Yeah. Put them back on the Armageddon light where you belong. And so, yeah, it's been doing a lot of things for waiting for humanity and the Great Awakening, where we are now.
I really feel that we have enough that have awakened. Maybe not people going out to a supermarket, or driving out to a Friday evening in a concert, getting out there right now, seeing that, oh yeah, that person's awake. But overall around the planet, Gene, do you sense that what Joshua will do is give us the separation of, okay, 5th dimension, 5th density, all of you who are awakened, and all the rest of you, you're going to be on the negative timeline, the destructive timeline, who haven't? Is that what you sense is going to happen?
It's going to depend on a person's resonance. So all of Satanists and all of that stuff, obviously, Armageddon line.
Yeah.
Obviously, come the shift. All of the people, depends on where your focus is, kind of person you are, within yourself.
Yeah. How
you are with yourself and how you are with others.
Service to others. Yeah.
Doing the best you can to be of high resonance and of pure of action indeed, and like the martial arts Shaolin, pure of mind, pure of action, pure of deed, pure of word. And so if you're that type of person and you're focused in the positive and compassion and truth and honesty and all of that, and no vengeance and none of that, and you live in the present, and not in the past, and not holding and going in vendettas and all this other stuff, that anchors you to the earth.
Wow.
And all that negative stuff anchors you to the Armageddon. So, plus now with what happened with the 19 and the jab, that put a lot of nanotech in people. So if you're not living in a positive way like that, it allows, the beta test was the targeted individual program. This is the big thing now. So that's in everybody, unless you're in the middle of nowhere since it happened. You may not be shed on enough in that case, but you have been if you're not. You've been in an airplane since then, you've been in a crowded theater, anything like that. And so if you're in those modes of vengeance or you're a vulgar person or, that kind of thing, very angry kind of thing, all that stuff, judgmental, then that allows them to hack your mind. You're uploaded into the cloud. That allows them to upload you and invert your memories even. So what you think in some conversation with somebody or argument you had is what I had this happen, where somebody said, well, you said this. I go, no, that was you. Well, I said this. No, that was me. They go, what? no, you're lying. I go, no, I haven't. Want to hear a recording? No, I haven't. Well, you could have done AI. No, it's just a recording.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to do that stuff. I don't even want to know how to do that stuff. You know, just
Right.
they can flip memories, they can implant memories, they can, manipulate you, they can get you to kill yourself, they can do all kinds of things now. And so it's why it behooves people to really go after being in that kind of energy, like you're saying, being grounded, being kind, compassionate, truthful, honest, and as close as you can to Jesus Christ. And when you slip, own up to it as soon as you can and get yourself straight. And that even means with yourself. Don't deceive yourself. Don't do your best to be straight up and not focus on negative stuff. It can be very hard. I know. Focusing on the positive. As the song goes, overlook the negative. Don't miss with Mr. in between.
I got that Bobby McFerrin, don't worry, be happy type of thing, as long as people aren't doing a spiritual bypass on authenticity. That's really key. Thank you. As we wrap up here, focusing on positivity, what's about to kick off is the Paralympics. And I've always found, I had an experience back when I was at high school in Collingwood, Ontario, and they had the Paralympic committee and a Paralympic event going on. Back then, unfortunately, now knowing what we know now, Arnold Schwarzenegger, but back then it was like, wow, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Maria Shriver are here, Paralympic committee. That part aside, the benevolent experiences with the participants. It was incredible to see these young men and women and even children looking up to them for different things, whether, they're wheelchair amputees, Down syndrome, incredible to see the true heart. And for me, that is the illumination of the spirit, of the soul of the individual, and hearing what they're doing and expressing, because it's all heart. I've never been interested in professional sports, watching it. And over the time, in the years, with buddies get together, like we have an event, back in the day, it really hasn't happened for like 20, 25 years. But I always enjoyed watching live something like that. So what I would encourage people to do, in addition, definitely sign up at genedecode.org, rather, links below here, is if you want to experience love or watch something with true joy that is expressed by a human being right now, give support and watch the Paralympics, which is about to begin in Italy. That to me is remarkable. And I just shared a clip, Gene, a couple of nights ago. There was a child, they were doing track, so it was summertime. They're doing track and coming into the final lap, and the child with Down syndrome competing, and the mother's cheering, everybody's cheering, and he ran off the track to run over to her to give her a kiss, tell her, I love you, and then got back on the track to win. So again, beautiful, heart-centered, getting after it. And that's what it's really all about, I think, in this world. And if people can really focus on that within themselves, that's the type of resonance I believe is reflective of what we all need to put forward and to make it through the shift, and then continue to rebuild the new earth, which is there waiting for us to step into, I believe.
Absolutely. It already formed.
Yeah.
It's in orbit. They took it from the ISIS space station. It's in orbit behind the Earth.
Wow.
In the same orbital plane, right?
Wow.
Following Earth.
Amazing.
After the shift, in about 14 years, I'm in the Armageddon line on this Earth. It'll be a rock. There won't be any life on it, like in the movie, I think it was called Interstellar.
Interstellar, yeah.
Life started failing, all the plants and everything.
Wow.
Lights and all that. And this will become a moon of the 5D Earth.
Wow.
And this moon for this planet, which is a space station, will be removed. And that will end the soul trap permanently. Nice. We won't be able to bring it up because there's nothing there to bring it up with.
That's cool. That's cool. 555. I've got the Ascension, the angel numbers of change. as you're saying that, for me down here, that's incredible. That's just a continued sacred sign for all of us
Yes.
of that truth. It's amazing, Gene. Thank you so much, sir. What are your final? Would you like to close this with a prayer, if you wouldn't mind, with everybody?
Yes. I pray that the world, as much of the world is saved and wakes up to the truth and understands it, so that we can all move forward to the 5D, 4D, or whatever level the person is ready to proceed to, that they do so with heart and compassion and truth and honesty, and all the truth and honesty and compassion, and all the missing information comes out, so that people can know the truth, and especially for the young children, and get and rescue them all. Rescue every single one of them in every single underground facility on earth. And I ask this in the one God of all creation and his holy, only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. Tetelestai.
And amen. Gene, mahalo lui noa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brad.
For all of you do. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Hopefully see you on genedecode.org very shortly.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless everyone.
Thanks for joining us on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, follow, subscribe, share this with 9 friends and family. And of course, if you enjoy our blinged Buddha firing red pills from his 9mm, let us know.